Hi friends, welcome to this latest virtual heritage walk. Can you hear me? I just want to have a heads up from you. Am I audible? Okay, so let us begin. So today I'm going to talk to you about Jaipur, a city full of historical treasures, and this picture shows few of those sites that we are going to cover. We are going to begin with the World Heritage Site of Jantar Mantar, which was the first, which was the largest of all astronomical observatories built by the founder of Jaipur, Savai Jai Singh II. Then we'll move on to a little known architectural gem called Sargasuli or Isarlat. After that, we're going to move on to the Albert Hall, the famous Albert Hall, which houses the museum. Thereafter, we will go to the All Saints Church, and we are going to end our heritage walk with the Moti Dungri Ganesh Temple. So, friends, I remember a couple of months back I had done the Hawa Mahal heritage walk. Um, so I'm going to connect the dots from there on. So this is the picture of the old city, the walled city, from the top of the Hawa Mahal, and it gives a beautiful view of the Jantar Mantar with that giant sundial in the distance, and that minaret which you can see in on the left hand side is the Isar Lat or the Sargasuli. So my friends, this is the walled city of Jaipur from the top of the Hawa Mahal. This is a beautiful sweeping view, and so in 2019, this entire walled city was declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, and so I thought that let me start this heritage walk with this picture, which gives a sweeping view of this magnificent, beautiful old city of Jaipur, and. So the city of Jaipur was basically founded in 1727 by Savai Jai Singh II, the founder of Jaipur, and before that the capital was at the nearby place called Amer. And this city was laid on grid pattern, and Vidyadhar Bhattacharya used Vedic mathematics and sciences to lay down the whole city in beautiful symmetry, and the streets used to, and they still cut at 90 degrees, and they cut at right angles, and very planned city. And this was declared the World Heritage Site in 2019. So let's move on to the next picture. So this is the first view of the Jantar Mantar, and it's quite a beautiful sight. Two kind of sundials over here. The large, the Vrihat Samrat Yantra, the bigger one on the right hand side, and the Laghu Samrat Yantra, the smaller one on the left hand side. But before we go into Jantar Mantar, which is itself a World Heritage Site, it was declared the World Heritage Site in 2010 by UNESCO. Before we get on, I just wanted to take a moment to understand why is it called Jantar Mantar. It's called Jantar Mantar because of the fact that the word Jantar comes from the Sanskrit term Yantra. Yantra means instrument. So this entire complex houses instruments which are supposed to uh, calculate time and various things related to celestial bodies. And the second part, Jantar, is Yantra, and Mantar. Mantar comes from the Sanskrit term Mantram or Mantrana, which means consultation or calculation. So these are basically instruments used for calculation, astronomical studies, and to uh, chart the course of the celestial bodies. And this picture really sums up this beautiful complex. And here I also wanted to tell you people that Savai Jai Singh too, who was extremely interested in astronomy, he was fascinated by the subject, and he sent various emissaries to countries like Portugal, Greece, Arabia, and he wanted his people to go and understand the astronomy and the studies of astronomy and the development over there, and to come back and integrate everything and come up with these beautiful observatories. And Jaipur is one of those observatories. It is the largest in the country. There are four others. There's one in Delhi, very close to the Bangla Sahib Gurudwara, and that was also built by Savai Jai Singh too. In fact, Bangla Sahib Gurudwara was the earlier site of Savai Jai Singh II's palace. And there are three more apart from Jaipur and Delhi. There's one in Ujjain, one in Mathura, and the other one in uh, Banaras. So there are five of them in the country, and I think the Mathura one no longer is intact. It's vanished over the phase of time, and yeah. So here in particular, in this particular observatory, there is yeah. So this is a beautiful. So this is called Rashi Valaya. These set of instruments are called Rashi Valaya, and they are on the basis of the 12 signs of the zodiac, and they are they are they show all the 12 signs of the zodiac, and this is the only instrument which is present across all five observatories only in Jaipur. And on the right hand side you can see the flag, the royal flag, and that is the city palace, the topmost story of the city palace in the right hand side. And on the far off in the background on the top of the hill is the Jaigarh Fort. And so you know that Jaipur is surrounded by hills, and um, so there are two of the forts which are on the nearby hills. One is Amer, the other is Jaigarh, and this is entire Rashi Valaya instruments. 12 of them are based on the 12 zodiac signs. Okay. Moving on, this instrument is very interesting. It is almost like this is actually called the Jay Prakash Yantra, and what is interesting is that King Savai Jai Singh too, he almost made the this is like a copy of the sky. It's just that it is in like an inverted marble bowl. It's like a hemispherical marble bowl which has all these intricate lines and all these things. So this basically, this Jai Prakash Yantra basically captures the movement of the celestial bodies as it travels across in the sky. So there are two of them. One is smaller, the other one is bigger. This is the smaller one. So these are the two parts. So the one is supplementary to the other. And by the way, friends, it was renovated in at the turn of the century, 1901, by Savai Madho Singh II, where everything was made into marble, and everything was refurbished. All the damages were taken care of. So this is the Jai Prakash Yantra, as you can see, friends. And moving on, yeah. So this is the most iconic of all instruments in the observatory. This is called the Vrihat Samrat Yantra. And why is it called the Vrihat Samrat Yantra? Because as you can see, it is extremely large. So it is almost like a large supreme instrument if you translate it in English. So it's a giant triangular wall, and it casts a shadow on the quadrants that it is on both the sides. And this is another view of the Vrihat Samrat Yantra of the Jantar Mantar. By the way, friends, this is the largest of all his sundials. It's a sundial. Basically, it tells time, and It is extremely accurate. It is almost, it gives time to an accuracy of 2 seconds. 2 seconds, my friends. And so this shadow of this triangular wall, so this is another view. This is right from the front. So this triangular walls, and there are quadrants. This bow-shaped thing, left and right quadrants. So this triangular wall casts a shadow on these quadrants, and so since Jaipur is at 27-degree north latitude, so depending on that, the time is calculated. The local time is calculated, and it is to the accuracy of 2 seconds. Another view of uh, guys, can you hear me? So guys, can you hear me? Please give me a thumbs up. Earlier was I audible? Hello? Guys, can you please tell me whether I'm audible? This technology is. This is visible. Hello? Huh? Hello? Where was I? Where is it? What is happening? Yeah. So let's start again. So this is the Brihat Samrat Yantra, and this triangular, this giant triangular wall casts a shadow on these quadrants, and because of which the time is calculated. And when the time is calculated, it comes to within 2 seconds of the actual time. And this, friends, is the Laghu Samrat Yantra. So if that was the largest sundial, this is the smallest sundial, or the smallest sundial, and this is calculating time to 20-second accuracy. So there's another view of this, where this triangular wall is casting shadow over here, and um, yeah, yeah. Thanks, Swati. Thanks for confirming. And so this is the Laghu Samrat Yantra of the Jantar Mantar, and moving on. So this is another view of the Jantar Mantar, where we can see in one sweeping view the Rishi Valaya, the 12 zodiac sign instruments on the left hand side. There is the Laghu Samrat Yantra on the just on the next towards the next of it, and the city palace in a little distance. So that is the city palace just beyond between this observatory and the hill, and on top of the hill is the Jaigarh Palace. And so this is the Jantar Mantar, and again I'm going to tell you that this is a World Heritage Site. It was declared so in 2010, and moving on, yeah. So this friends is the second of the stops. This is called the Isarlat or the Sargasuli. It is very interesting that the entire pink city is pink in color, while this particular structure is pale yellow in color. And this is actually a victory. It's a victory minaret, which was erected by Savai Ishwari Singh. He was the son of the founder of Jaipur, Savai Jai Singh II. His son Savai Ishwari Singh built this minaret because there was a war of succession once the founder of Jaipur was like about to abdicate his throne, and Savai Ishwari Singh defeated his brother Savai Madhu Singh II, and the Marathas and the army of Mewar, they were all defeated. And to commemorate the victory, Isarlat, this 7-story 140 feet high octagonal tower was erected, and it's a victory tower. And as you can see, it is perforated and punctured all around for light and air. And yeah, this is another view. So by the way, I've been to the top of this victory tower called the Isarlat. It's part of the City Palace complex, the World Heritage site, which it was declared last year. And as you can see, there are balconies in the middle, and there's a beautiful view from the top of this structure. That's another view, as you can see from below. And so, by the way, the stairs are ramp shaped over here, and the ramp goes all the way up. And yeah, so this is the view from the top, and the view is marvelous. Sweeping, beautiful vistas are visible. And yeah, look at that beautiful sweeping view of Jaipur with all the hills surrounding. Yeah. So as I was telling you, this view from the top of Isarlat shows the city and some of the streets. So this particular view shows various havelis and the chalk inside and all the streets cutting at right angles, and this entire city was planned as per Vedic philosophy by Vidyadhar Bhattacharya, who was the architect of this planned city of the walled city of Jaipur, erected by Savai Jai Singh II. And see, look at that. So this view from the top of Sargasuli or Isarlat tells you how planned the city was even in 1727 when it was started. And all the streets cutting at right angles and broad avenues and broad chalks or this grid pattern as I was talking about. So that's how the canopy looks from inside of the top of the Isarlat. Yeah. 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 So friends, now we come to this magnificent structure of Albert Hall, and this is the Albert Hall Museum. It's a magnificent structure, and it was actually built in Indo-Saracenic style, which combined architectural language from India and abroad in a beautiful way, and It has these chajjas and charokas and Moorish pillars and jalis and arches, and it's magnificent. And the architect of this beautiful structure is um, was Colonel Swinton Jacob. So Colonel Swinton Jacob, who was he? Colonel Swinton Jacob was the superintending engineer of the Maharaja of Jaipur, Savai Madho Singh II, and Savai Madho Singh II gave the task of building this beautiful structure when Prince of Wales, Albert, the Prince Albert, who later on became the king. Later on, he became King Edward VII. When the Prince of Wales was visiting Jaipur, he laid the foundation of the Albert Hall when Savai Madho Singh Ji was ruling over this place. And this entire beautiful structure was designed by Swinton Jacob. And Swinton Jacob has a beautiful distinction of also designing several monuments and buildings in Jaipur. He worked here for 35 years as the superintending engineer of the Jaipur state. By the way, friends, as all of you know that Ajmer has a very famous Mayo College. So not many people know that Mayo College in Ajmer has also been designed by Swinton Jacob, the designer of this magnificent building, Albert Hall. Isn't this marvelous? Just have a view of this thing. It looks really, really good. And also, I wanted to tell you that uh, Shashi Kapoor and his wife Jennifer, they were very, very fond of Jaipur, and Jennifer, especially Jennifer Kapoor, was very fond of Albert Hall and this nearby gardens over here. These gardens are called Ram Nivas Gardens, and they are very. This entire area is it deserves to be visited and enjoyed in all its glory. And they, the Kapoors, the Jennifer and Shashi used to visit this place, and they came here very often, and they love to go to Johri Bazaar in the walled city to shop and to buy various trinkets. And yeah, so moving on, another view of Albert Hall. This gives quite a clear idea what this magnificent building looks like. And see, so many things happening, so many architectural languages, juxtaposed against each other over here. That's the main entrance of the Albert Hall. And by the way, Albert Hall, the foundation of it was laid in 1876 by the visiting Prince of Wales, and by around 1887 it was fully complete. And thereafter it used to be always housing local artisans and their produce, and they used to come and exhibit their wares over here, and it served as a hub of all the activities, the artistic activities of the state, and anyone who wanted to come and put up an exhibition, or the artisans who want to showcase their wares were always welcome. Yeah. So this is how the pillars and the courtyard and the corridors of this gorgeous property look like. And as soon as I saw this, I was reminded of the beautiful architecture of the Moorish Spain, the Alhambra and all of that. So it is very interesting that when Albert Hall was being planned, the staff of Swinton Jacob, the architect of this magnificent structure, he sent a staff to study the monuments of the Mughal monuments of Delhi, Fatehpur Sikri and Agra, and get inspired and come back with architectural inspiration. And then he designed the entire structure by factoring in his sensibilities and what his staff, his team got back from that place, and everything was put together. It's a beautiful Indo-Saracenic structure, and now we'll go inside, and this is what it looks like. And Moving on, over here, we see how the ceiling is beautifully carved and um, embellished. It's beautifully embellished, and it's a work of art. Every piece of it is a work of art, and so exhibits are very well placed over here, and uh, all the exhibits, all the things that are put on display are so well placed that once when it's a very famous thing that when Rudyard Kipling was visiting this place, he was so impressed by the architecture, the way the exhibits were displayed, and the woodwork and everything, that he said that this museum is a rebuke to all other museums in India, starting from Calcutta downwards. So even Rudyard Kipling thought that this was magnificent. And now, friends, we are going to enter and have a look at the most gorgeous of the exhibits in Albert Hall Museum, and which is a mummy, an Egyptian mummy. Yes, you guessed it right. So we have the statues of Bast over here at the entrance, and there, friends, is the pièce de résistance of this museum. So this is mummy of a priestess from the Egyptian Ptolemaic dynasty from the 300 BC period. It is said that her name is Princess Tutu. So this is the mummy of Tutu, and it was donated to Savai Madho Singh II, the ruler of Jaipur at that time, by the curator of the Cairo Museum. That's another view of the mummy Tutu, and there are various symbols of gods and goddesses, Horus and Isis and Anubis. All of them are there on the body of this mummy, Princess Tutu, the priestess from the Ptolemaic period from 300 BC. And so this entire thing is in the basement of the Albert Hall Museum. And as you can see, ibis, it's very commonly found in Egyptian symbols, and it's very important in Egyptian culture also. So, and there you can see a statue of Isis holding her son Horus, one of the exhibits over there. Yeah. So that's the Ankh, or the eye symbol, very, very significant in Egyptian culture. And all along the walls of the museum, there are these reproductions from various civilizations, from the Romans to the Babylonian to the Assyrians, from Sri Lanka, from Southeast Asia. So basically, so this is a reproduction from one of the murals from Italy. It's a reproduction over here, and so this museum served, as you can see now, this is from Babylonian civilization. So this museum served as a window to the world for the people of the Jaipur state. They could come and have a look at all these gorgeous iconography from across the world, and so this was something that was really appreciated by the public, the subjects of the king at that time. So all these murals on the walls have been done by local artisans, and that shows the level of excellence achieved by these people. So that's one of the themes from Lord Buddha's life. And there is another one over there, as you can see. And let's move on. Yeah, I wanted to capture this view because it is so reminiscent of the structure of Moorish Spain, and I'm sure since it's an Indo-Saracenic architecture, Swinton Jacob borrowed very heavily from across the world, and especially from Spain and all those places. Very beautiful. Lovely courtyards all around. Look at that. So many languages and architecture playing simultaneously. Yeah. By the way, it is very interesting to note that although the entire structure was designed and the architect happens to be Swinton Jacob, but he also made it sure that uh, due credit was given to individual craftsmen and masons. So what we will see in the next few slides is that they could inscribe their initials on each pillar or any column that an individual mason or craftsman has made, so as to recognize individual talent as well. Look at the beautiful carvings on the pillars. Look at that jali. So jalis and these kind of windows are all over the place. Yeah. So there, as you can see, yeah, I have tried to magnify this, and there you can see the initials of the craftsman over there. Gangu. It's written Gangu. Yeah. So the local craftsmen were given their due credit by uh, allowing them to put their initials on the pillars which they had chiseled out. So as you can see over here, Gangu is clearly visible. So some guy called Gangu must have done this fabulous work. What a beautiful way of recognizing talent. Yeah. So now we will go to the next stop, which is the All Saints' Church. So it's a beautiful church, very, I mean, hardly anybody knows this place exists. It's just forgotten by the people and the time. It's All Saints' Church, and it was designed and constructed by Swinton Jacob, the superintending engineer of the Jaipur State and the head of the Jaipur Public Works Department. So it's a beautiful structure, not too large, but exquisite all the same. So let's go and have a look at the All Saints' Church. So that's another view of this beautiful church, and there you can see a large circular window puncturing the other end of the church. It was built in 1876 by Swinton Jacob. Yeah. So now we are entering inside the church, and this gives a very beautiful view of this entire structure. And that's another view where you can see from inside how the circular window and the pews look like. That's a sweeping view of the entire church. And although it's not too large, but when you go inside, it gives a beautiful feeling of largeness and grandeur. And we'll go and have a look at those stained glass. It has lovely, beautiful stained glass windows having Christian iconography. We're going to have a closer look at that in a while. And yeah, let's move on. Yeah, so that shows the closer view of the iconic stained glass windows, and this is where we will have a, yeah, look at that. So that's where the altar is, and just above the altar is a beautiful stained glass image of Jesus Christ, and this is on the other side. I think it's an angel granting wishes to the yeah. So continuing, so when I went to this church, I was quite taken aback by the beauty of this particular stained glass imagery over here. I was rather taken aback, pleasantly surprised. I did not expect some unknown church in Jaipur to have such rich work done on it. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? Beautiful. So that's the All Saints Church built by Swinton Jacob. and that's the other end. This is that beautiful circular window, which the stained glass image is clearly visible. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed in thee. That's what it says. This is from the baptism bowl. This view is from the baptism bowl, and yeah. So this is a very interesting thing that I saw. So as I was telling you that the gorgeous Albert Hall was built by Swinton Jacob, and this is a tablet which was erected by Savai Madho Singh II, the ruler at the time, in memory and to pay respect to his dear friend Swinton Jacob. And see, this gives a closer look. You can have so. This shows that the Maharaja had a very close relationship with Swinton Jacob. In fact, let me tell you, when the coronation of Edward VII happened in 1902 in London, so Maharaja of Jaipur, Savai Madho Singh, was invited for the coronation, and he took Colonel Sir Swinton Jacob along with him, and he acted as his interpreter over there. So he was quite close to him, and he spent 35 years of his life doing all sorts of constructions for the Jaipur state. It was quite interesting. So that's another view of the church of Saint All Saints' Church, and so now we come outside, and this is the final view of the church from the other end. And built in 1876, it's an architectural gem. You must pay a visit to it whenever you are in town. Okay, friends, now we are heading towards the end of this heritage talk, where we are heading to a place called Moti Dungri. So this is the Moti Dungri fort, and it is called Moti Dungri because Dungri in Rajasthan means a small hillock or a hill, and Moti is, as you know, it's a word for pearl. So it's like a pearl hillock, a tiny hill. So this tiny hill is right in the center of the Jaipur city. It's maybe when it was built, Jaipur was not here, but today the city has engulfed this particular hill, and it's right in the middle. So that white temple which you see, it's a white temple over there. That's a famous Shiva temple, and it's opened only once a year for the public on Mahashivratri. So this Moti Dungri fort, the hill, the Pearl Hillock, as we say, was once upon a time a residence of Maharani Gayatri Devi, the famous Maharani Gayatri Devi, and her husband Savai Man Singh II, the last ruler of Jaipur. They stayed here for a while, and it was designed like a Scottish castle. And Maharani Gayatri Devi, once we are here on Maharani Gayatri Devi's topic, we must spend some time talking about her. We can't do justice to Jaipur without talking about this iconic lady. So Maharani Gayatri Devi was the wife of the king of Jaipur, and she was the princess of Cooch Behar, and she did a lot of work over here for the education of the women, because as you know, Rajasthan was quite orthodox when it came to educating women. She started a school for women, for young girls, called the Maharani Gayatri Devi School, and that paved the way for education coming into the orthodox households of the state. And then the parents started sending their daughters for education. So in 1943, Maharani Gayatri Devi started the MGD, or the Maharani Gayatri Devi School, and she did a lot of work for women's emancipation. And she led by example. She was a terrific shooter, and she was fond of hunting. She played polo. She used to drive at that time when women were not coming out of parda. So she was a trendsetter. A very spunky woman who, after independence of India, joined the Swatantra Party of C. Rajagopalachari. She fought elections in Lok Sabha. She won the largest margin, election with the largest margin, and she landed up in the Guinness Book of World Records for that biggest margin of victory ever. And very interesting to note that Maharani Gayatri Devi was also voted as one of the most beautiful women in the world by Vogue magazine multiple times. And she was much more than that, by the way. She was not just a beauty, she did a lot for women emancipation in the uh, Orthodox Society of Rajasthan. And moving on from Maharani Gayatri Devi onwards, so this is our last stop. This is the Moti Dungri Ganesh temple. It's a very, very famous temple of Ganesh in Jaipur, and it was set up by uh, Seth Paliwal from Udaipur. So the statue was put in place over here in 1761. The original structure came up in 1761, and Seth Paliwal was the person who put his money over here and built it up. There in the background, you can see the Moti Dungri Fort, which was the early residence of the Maharani Gayatri Devi and her husband. Yeah, so this is how the temple, the Ganesh Moti Dungri temple looks like. It's quite beautiful, I must say, and it has been. Everyone pays a visit over there for every auspicious occasion, wherever they buy a car or an automobile, something to start. So, as we say, you must propitiate Ganesha. So, people throng this temple in large numbers, and it's a beautiful vermilion colored, bright vermilion colored statue of Ganesha, as you can see. And there's lovely calligraphy and a lot of rich decoration inside the temple. So that's a closer view of the deity, the vermilion colored Ganesh statue, and uh, look at the beautiful Bangladar doorway and the attendants on both the sides. It's quite a sight. So this is a closer look at the details of the work that has been done over here, and Moti Dungri temple, by the way, was founded or put in place in 1761 by Seth Paliwal from Udaipur, and they say the statue came from Gujarat before that. So, as you know, Udaipur is neighboring Gujarat, and the statue came from there. And this is the lovely statue of Moti Dungri Ganesh, and um, so it's clearly written Vakrutunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvkareshu Sarvada. So and just in front of the statue is this as we know that Ganesha's steed, the mouse is the steed of Ganesha. As they say, the savari of Ganesha is the chuha. So the mouse or the steed of Ganesha is just right in front of the statue. In fact, Ganesha is looking right at the mouse. So yeah, that's another view of the temple. And Riddhi Siddhi, as you know, the consorts of Ganesha, they are clearly visible. One of them is visible here. They are on either side of the statue. And yeah, with that, we come to the end of this particular heritage walk, a virtual heritage walk. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you could hear and you could see me, and everything was fine, because technology is something that we can't predict. And so I hope you enjoyed and wish you all the best. You must take care of yourself. The time is not right, and we must somehow pull through this with all our sanity intact. And with best wishes, I bid adieu to you. And if you have any questions, please post them. I'll reply back. And see you again next time. Thank you very much.